What's up guys? Today I'm going to be reviewing the two Blazar lenses, the Blazar Apex 35 and Blazar Apex 50. Yeah, love these bad boys. Just wanted to give you all a quick talking on why I like them so much. And people have messaged me asking a lot of questions about the lenses and if I like them, if I don't like them. The main reason I haven't done this video yet is because I've been too worried about what my background looks like, which honestly, I'm feeling this. Look, I got the orange. I didn't even do the watch on purpose. I did the lights on purpose, but I got the orange to match the orange. Yeah, I'm about to buy that small rig, that orange small rig cage, literally just because of these lenses. Anyways, so I didn't immediately just jump into making this video after getting the lenses. I wanted to make sure that I could really put them through their paces, try them in a bunch of different scenarios. I love to shoot at night. That's kind of my main thing on my Instagram page. For those of you that don't know, my name's Richard Gonzalez, or Remnant Media on Instagram. I am a full-time, quit my job, full-time baby, automotive content creator. Yeah, I live in Houston, Texas, but if you need me to come somewhere to film your cars, let me know. Anyways, yeah, I love filming at night. I think it just adds a whole dynamic of aggression, and you know, you can get the body lines really well. Also, if you're shooting flames, I mean, viral. But yeah, so when I saw these lenses, I saw the 50 and I saw anamorphic and I saw autofocus and I bought it. I said, bet, I need that. And I don't know if I would say that was a mistake, but I will say, in hindsight, these lenses are sick. They have the squeeze, which for those of you, okay, so part one. What is anamorphic? Anamorphic, okay, and I'm no expert here. I'm fresh off the dome. You know, this is just my basic understanding. I'm a content creator. I'm not a filmmaker. Hope to be a filmmaker, but I'm not. So yeah, I'm just making Instagram reels out here and the occasional YouTube feature. But anamorphic is pretty much the, you know, the squeeze, the bars, the light streaks. I had the Surrey anamorphics and they were sick, but they were manual and they were APS-C. These aren't full frame either, but they were APS-C, and yeah, for me, I'm constantly running, gunning, jumping out, hoping I don't, jumping out of the car, hoping I don't get kicked out of the spot, like trying to get like 3 angles and then dip, and especially for rollers. So a lot of my rollers, I have my rig mounted to my car, and I'm driving and controlling the rig. Do not recommend, but I do it when I'm in a pinch. And yeah, so I can't pull focus, control the thing, and look where I'm driving, and talk to the person. It's just a lot. So anamorphic, autofocus, sign me up, baby. In hindsight, the anamorphic flares leave something to be desired here. I wish the flares were a little more dramatic. They are really dramatic if you're like, I'm talking like down the barrel of the lens to like a headlight. But they're not like crazy, which on some parts I like, some parts I don't. Like when I had the Surrey lenses, you'd be like downtown and there'd be like, you know, row of lights, and it gets annoying, and I don't like. I'd rather it be underpowered than overpowered. All of that being said, I do really like the image out of these lenses. It's very soft. Like I said, I'm no professional. I just love creating content. And if I can do something a little bit different that, you know, maybe makes my stuff look a little more cinematic, I'd love to shoot with Airy and, you know, cook primes and all that, but ain't got the budget for that. We're rocking FX3s and anamorphic lenses with a bad vignette, and we'll crop in, baby. But real talk, I don't know the proper way of saying the image is so good out of these lenses. I love how soft it is. I will say, I have this Tilta hood. I've had this for years just because I thought it looked cool. I'm like, oh, you know, never used it. Then I went to visit my boy Ezra, and he had one on his lens, and I was like, man, I have one of those. So I threw it on my anamorphics because I was going to a documentary shoot that I did, which I put some B-roll in. That's what's playing in the background right there. I'll throw some footage in here, but I was so happy with the way that came out. And I will say I had my 35 on the gimbal and I had my 50 handheld, and I was getting a shot of Jerry, the guy who owns the car, going into his garage. And I don't know if I'll be able to show this on the footage. I'll try. But I noticed I had Tyler from Driver Source, one of my buddies. He was holding I was like, can you just hold my 50 and just like point it at him, and I'll use the stationary shot. Maybe I won't. He had the hood on and I didn't. And I noticed my image looked a little washed out compared to his with the hood on, which for people who know what they're talking about, they're probably laughing at me like, yeah, that's how they work. That's what that's what a hood's for. Me, I'm a novice. I'm just out here trying to make my camera rig look cooler. I noticed that. So if you're gonna pick these up, maybe look at getting a, there's a proper name for that, and I'm probably butchering it, but get yourself a little hood. Matte box, boom! Get yourself a matte box, because I do think it helps. And even at night, whenever I'm doing rollers, I rocked it, because without it, like headlights and other light will just like kind of throw a flare like across the screen. Sometimes, not really bad, not as bad as the series lenses, but just something to look out for. Okay, yeah, the biggest question I get I post these on my story, and I get questions pretty frequently on my Instagram. The biggest question I've seen is, how is the autofocus? I'm gonna say it, the autofocus is 95% A1 banger, no complaints. It's definitely not G Master, but I think nothing is. I've used Sigma lenses, I've used Tamron lenses. Nothing is as good as G Masters, and I whenever people use that as like a comparison, like, oh, is it as good as G Master? No, nothing is. That's native. Anyways, but it's up there. It's very good, and I would say it's reliable. Whenever I'm shooting, I'm not really worried as much about like whether something's in focus. It's more so where I place my focus, because I have it set to center focus when I'm shooting. So really it's on me. If it's in the center, it's in focus. And I haven't had problems with that, from interviews to rollers to, you know, handheld. Like, it's been great. I've used it in a bunch of scenarios, and I'll be running B-roll while I'm talking about this. But yeah, the autofocus, 2 thumbs up from this guy. All right, so elephant in the room, there is a vignette. But that being said, to me, doesn't matter. I've used them for Instagram Reels. I've used them for full YouTube videos. I've used them for the documentary thing, and I'll have a little clip in. Yeah, so I get it. If they release a full frame anamorphic autofocus tomorrow, I'll probably sell these 2 and buy 1, because they're probably gonna be a little more expensive. But yeah, like they've got me sold, they've got me committed. If they come out with full frame, I'm buying them. Anyways, the vignette, it's not bad. It is there, and it's something to be like cautious of. I mean, in my opinion, like when people are like, oh, just step back, you know, just boom. That wasn't that hard, was it? So yeah, if you're worried about that, then that, you know, I'll show what I've had, but for me, I just step back. And even like cropping in, I think it's Super 35, whatever. For me, it hasn't been an issue, and I've watched Cam Mackey, and he recommended, he was like, I shoot more, like instead of my FX30 or APS-C, I shoot on my full frame and it's clear. I only have full frame. I have the Sony FX3 and the ZV-E1, which is what I'm filming on right now. Let me throw one of these bad boys on just so you can see how good it looks. Are you kidding me? What are we doing? What are we talking about? That looks so sick. That was like 80% of the reason I bought it, is because of how sick it looks. And it's autofocus, come on. But yeah, I'm only filming on full frame, so I don't have an answer for people that are wondering like, oh, how is it on the FX30, or how is it on, I say FX30 because that's like the main APS-C camera that I know. I think it's APS-C, but I haven't tried it on anything other than the FX3 and the ZV-E1. So all the footage you're seeing is either my FX3 or my ZV-E1, and honestly, I have not had any problems with either of them. I will say the ZV-E1 does grab focus a little bit better, because I think it has the AI stuff for like face tracking, car tracking, animal tracking. I usually just have mine set to face tracking, and then if I'm shooting a car, there's usually not a person in the frame, and if they are in the frame, I want to be focused on them. So that's how I look at it. I will say the ZV-E1 does focus a little bit faster, but I turn like the responsive, like focus shift, focus sensitivity, I turn them all up to 5 when I'm using these. Haven't had any issues. I've used it to film car shows, interviews, cars in general, like stationary, rollers, a motorcycle. And when I filmed the motorcycle, I only had the 50. I got the 35 like 3 weeks ago, and I've had the 50 for almost 2 months now. And at first I was nervous to use the 50 because I didn't know how it would work, and I didn't know if I could rely on it. And so when I'm doing client work, I'm like, I just use my G Masters, I know they work. But I used it here and there. But since I got the 35, I've been using that one. I've been using it for some paid work. Like I keep referencing this because this has been my favorite thing that I've made so far with it. But I used it for the driver source video for an interview into like story of this guy's car and how he's had it. and I've loved it. Every time I watch the video, I'm like, I made that? Ain't no way I made that, because all my stuff always looks so like digital, which, you know, is cool. For Instagram Reels, sometimes I'll still use my G Masters because I just know like I'm gonna be just running gun super quick, and like obviously the aspect ratio is not ideal. If I'm just trying to get reels, not too worried about it. But if I'm trying to like be artsy and, you know, kind of have fun with it, I'm using the Blazars. Pros, autofocus, they look sick. You know, they catch people's eyes. They're anamorphic. You will get flares here and there. That's sick. On the other side of that, let's go to the cons. The cons, vignetting. Not a big deal, but it's there. Close focusing distance. That's probably the biggest con or bad thing, which is just a part of anamorphic. The series were the same thing. You can get diopters, and I understand that. But sometimes, especially me, like I said, I'm running and gunning. I don't have time to, you know, I'm not trying to screw on diopters, and then it's still like this weird, like minimum focus, whatever. The close focusing distance is probably like 2 or 3 feet. So like from where I'm at right now, like this would barely be in focus and this would be out of focus. So do with that information what you will. That is one thing, like when I'm doing my shifting stuff, I have to like open the door and like be on the outside, and that's not a big deal. I shot a 4GT on them, and I was like all the way, like the guy driving was like all the way back, and I was like at his face pointed at the speedometer, and it was still out of focus. Like I'll put the clip in. You can't really tell on my Instagram reel because I'm like, you know, but if you're like trying to do something more long form or more like drawn out, you can obviously tell when stuff's out of focus, and when stuff's out of focus is the worst. So yeah, close focusing distance, that's a big con. Oh, and then another con, I guess, kind of whatever, is just the flares. Like I just wish they were a little more prevalent. I've gotten them in some clips, like when I'm like shooting like a piece of chrome and the sun's like freaking, you know, the sun's just pew, pew, mirror. I've gotten the flares and I'm like, ooh, that was cool, ooh. But for the most part, I wish the flares were a little heavier, but I don't know, maybe I'm just need to be shooting differently, or, you know, whatever. Like if I had someone with a flashlight like this, you know, you could see them. But even that, it's not like a, it's more like a, if that makes sense. So I wish the flares were a little bit bigger. Guys, real quick, I'm editing here. Before you get to the conclusion portion of the video, I just wanted to drop in and say down below, I will be linking a Dropbox folder with a bunch of raw footage that you can go through and look at, download the clips, play with them, you know, mess with them, see how far you can push them. These are all shot on either my FX3 or my ZV-E1, and it'll probably say, you know, ZV or FX on the clip name. But yeah, when I'm trying to look at a lens, I'm like, man, I wish I could just play with some footage. So down below, I'll have, you know, maybe 10 clips that you could just go through and, you know, color grade, see what you want to do with them. But yeah, all right, back to the video. Overall though, if you were like, hey, I want to buy one of these lenses, is it worth the money? I think for 900 bucks, 100%. 900 bucks, I mean, I get it's not cheap, but it's not like, you know, I really want the 28 to 70 f2. It's like $3 grand, bro. I could buy 3 of these lenses for that one lens, and they're really fun. I will say, like, I drove up to Dallas for Texas 2K whenever I was, I drove up there, and I got there a little bit early, and I was waiting on my client to tell me like when to come meet them or whatever. So I just like went up to a parking garage, put my camera on a tripod, and just like pointed it out. I'll put the clips on here, but it was like, I would never do that for fun. I really just wanted to see what the image would look like out of the lens, and it's made me like try different things and shoot. It's so cringy and like so duh, obviously, but yeah, it's definitely made me kind of like get outside my comfort zone. But actually, like, it makes me try different things. And, you know, I will say the close focusing distance is not my favorite thing, but it makes me try different stuff. And you know, also on that, like if it's stationary stuff, take a step back. Oh no, it's out of focus. Take a step back. But you know, when you're in the car, I shoot a lot of cars. That's my main thing. So I'm keep referencing cars. But if I'm trying to get real close, maybe I just need to get some diopters. But for the most part, that is the one thing. Like I'm like, oh, in the back of the car, like, you know, that's not working. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Got a Carrera GT video coming soon. Yeah, appreciate y'all's support. Go follow me on Instagram. Almost to 60K. I'm not doing a giveaway at 60K, but at 100K, I may be giving away an FX3. I don't know. We'll see how successful I am when I hit 100K. But thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.